whispering neighbor. I had always thought my new apartment building was quiet for a city place. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like you've stumbled into a secret no one wants to share. I moved in on a rainy evening, dragging boxes up the narrow staircase while the smell of wet concrete and old paint clung to me. My neighbor, I hadn't met him yet, but I had seen him through the hallway door once. He was tall, gaunt, and moved slowly, like he had all the time in the world and didn't need to care about the world outside. He never spoke, never smiled, but I assumed he was just shy or maybe eccentric. The first night, I heard it, a soft scratching behind my bedroom wall. I told myself it was pipes, or maybe a mouse, though the sound was too deliberate, too rhythmic, like claws tracing a pattern I couldn't see. Days passed, and I started noticing small things. My shoes moved slightly from where I left them. The lights in my kitchen flickered only when I wasn't looking directly at them. And sometimes I felt the faint weight of someone standing in my room when I was sure I was alone. The hallway outside my door always smelled faintly of wet soil and something else. Something metallic, like iron. But I dismissed it as imagination. One night, I woke to a soft, slow humming through the wall. A lullaby, maybe, but off-key, stretched. The kind of sound that burrows into your mind and leaves you unable to think straight. I pressed my ear to the wall, heart thumping, and it stopped the moment I leaned closer. I started noticing him more. Shadows under his door moved even when his lights were off, and sometimes I could hear him whispering. At first it was just nonsense, like someone mumbling to themselves. Then over weeks the whispers became words, directed at me, naming me, telling me things I shouldn't know anyone could know. My dreams were no longer my own. I would wake in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, seeing him standing in the corner of my room, silently watching, always just at the edge of vision, gone when I blinked. I told my friends, but they laughed it off, said it was stress or the building's age playing tricks on me. I didn't care about rational explanations anymore. One night, I left my apartment to clear my head, walking the dark streets, trying to shake the sense of being followed. When I came back, my key wouldn't work. I pounded on the door, tried my spare, and finally had to get the building manager. He opened the door, but when I stepped in, nothing looked right. My furniture was shifted, subtle changes that made my stomach turn, like the room had been waiting for me to leave, watching how I would return. And in the living room, carved into the wall in deep, uneven lines, were the words, "You can run, but I know where you sleep." I ran, slammed the door, but I couldn't escape the feeling that someone was inside the building even when I left, watching, waiting. I started leaving notes under his door, asking him to stop, telling him I wasn't dangerous, pleading silently. But the next morning, I would find the notes back on my door, rewritten in the same handwriting that wasn't his. A script that slanted wrong, jagged, with words that made my blood run cold. "I like the way you scream in the dark." The humming returned, louder, sometimes through the ceiling, sometimes through the walls, never stopping. The neighbors claimed not to hear it. Friends visiting said my apartment felt off, colder than the rest of the building, with a damp, metallic smell that clung to everything. One night, I was lying in bed when I felt a hand on my shoulder. Frozen, heart hammering, I turned slowly. No one was there. The next day I noticed scratches on the inside of my door frame, thin and deep, like claws. Every night, the sense of being watched grew, and I began seeing him everywhere, in reflections, on the stairs, at the end of hallways when I stepped out to get the mail. Standing so still, it looked like he had grown from the shadows themselves. Weeks turned into months, and I stopped sleeping in my bedroom. I moved my bed into the living room, piled furniture against my bedroom door, and still, I would wake to scratches on the walls, whispered my name from the other side of the apartment, and the humming lullaby that never ended. One evening, I heard him in my kitchen. I froze, heart hammering. Plates clinked, a knife scraped across the counter, slow and deliberate. I yelled, nothing happened. The sound stopped only for a moment, then returned, closer, circling me, inside the walls, inside the floor, inside my head. I backed into a corner, shaking, trying to call 911, but my phone displayed a static screen, all my contacts gone, replaced with one name. "Look behind you." I didn't want to, but I did. The hallway was empty. Then I realized the sound of breathing was coming from inside my walls, low, patient, and right behind me. I ran, throwing open the apartment door, only to find the hallway empty, lights flickering. I screamed for help, but the building was silent, unnaturally so, like the world itself had paused. I ran out to the street, looked back, and through the window, I saw him standing by my door, smiling now, perfectly still, watching me with eyes that were too dark, too deep to be human. I never returned to that apartment. I moved cities, changed my number, changed my job, but every time I close my eyes at night, I hear the humming. And sometimes, just sometimes, I see a shadow at the end of my street, tall, gaunt, patient, waiting like he's always been there, whispering words that curl into my mind. Welcome home. If this gave you chills, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more terrifying encounters. I moved into the small gray house on the edge of town in late October. The air was already cold, and the trees looked like they were stripped bare by some unseen hand. The previous tenant had left in a hurry, leaving only a faint smell of old wood and damp carpet behind. I didn't mind. I liked the quiet. That was the first mistake. The first night was uneventful, apart from the usual creaks and groans of an old house settling. But by the second night, I began to notice something odd. A soft, almost imperceptible whispering drifted through the walls. I paused while unpacking, listening carefully, but it was gone the moment I stopped moving. I shrugged it off as the wind, or perhaps the house just talking to itself. A week passed, and the whispering grew more distinct. It wasn't random. It seemed deliberate. Almost like someone was trying to speak just behind the thin plaster walls. At first, it was unintelligible murmurs, then fragments of words. Help, don't, see. I told myself it was my imagination, but the tone made my skin crawl. It was calm, almost soothing, but it carried an undercurrent of menace. One night, around midnight, I awoke to the whispering directly outside my bedroom door. I froze under the covers, listening. The voice was soft, raspy, almost childlike. Come here. My heart pounded. I told myself I must be dreaming. I reached for my phone, but the light from the screen flickered and went out. The whispering stopped abruptly, replaced by a silence so heavy it felt like it was pressing down on my chest. Days later, I found a note slipped under my door. No handwriting, just printed words. Do not answer. They are watching. I looked around my apartment. Nothing seemed out of place. I thought about calling the police, but something inside me hesitated. The whispering didn't stop. It moved with me, always just behind my perception. In the bathroom mirror, I sometimes thought I saw a shadow that didn't belong to me, lingering too long after I had moved. The whispering would call my name softly, almost lovingly, until I turned around, and nothing was there. Then, one evening, I heard it clearly, right in my ear as I was brushing my teeth. They are inside. They like you. I spun around, toothbrush flying from my mouth, but the room was empty. That was when I started noticing small, impossible things. Doors that were locked the night before were open. Pictures on the walls turned slightly, as if someone had just looked at them. Faint scratches appeared along the baseboards. I tried to leave. I packed a bag, determined to get out that night. But as I reached the front door, a whisper stopped me cold. Where do you think you're going? I could hear it clearly, right inside my skull. It wasn't coming from the walls now. It was inside me. My body froze. I couldn't move. My keys dropped from my hand. The next morning, I woke on the living room floor. My bag was unpacked. The door was wide open. I didn't remember falling asleep. The whispering was everywhere now, relentless, no longer soft. It said my name over and over, each time louder, more urgent, more desperate. You can't leave. You promised. I started talking to it, trying to reason, to scream, to beg, but the voice just laughed. Not a normal laugh, but a hollow, wet sound that seemed to seep from the walls and floorboards themselves. Weeks passed. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. The whispering never ceased. Then one night, as the clock struck 3, the voice changed. It was no longer soft, no longer distant. It was right next to my ear, harsh and commanding. Open your eyes. I did. I saw them. A family, or what used to be a family, pressed against the walls, their faces pale, mouths moving silently as if screaming behind some invisible barrier. Their eyes were empty holes, black and endless. They reached for me. The whispering became a chorus, 1,000 voices, all calling my name, all begging me to stay. And that's when I realized the whispering neighbor wasn't outside. It wasn't in the walls. It was inside me, always had been, and now it would never let me leave. If this gave you chills, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more terrifying encounters.